This week on Supercars Talk, it's high fives all round as Cam Hill takes his first Supercars win. The big news this week is that DJR will have a different livery in Taupo. We've just got used to them having their fancy new livery after waiting many years to change the livery. Anyway, Jet Couriers will be taking over naming rights sponsorship in Taupo. That's because Shell V-Power is not sold in New Zealand, apparently. What petrol do you put in your car in New Zealand then if you don't use Shell V-Power? Anyway, the cars will be very similar, just instead of the red on the cars, it will be a maroon or dark red colour on the cars. So yeah, don't get too excited about it changing too much. Anyway, the actual big news this week is that Cam Hill took his first podium and then first win over the weekend at Albert Park. Super excited. Obviously, I'm quite close to the Matt Stone Racing team. They're so far the Matt Stone Racing models that I've got. I am currently waiting on the Nick Percat winner, and as I mentioned last week, I really like the look of that double car, and I think it will get made now. It was really exciting. Just a little bit, I did get to congratulate Cam Hill after his first podium. Unfortunately, we did not make it in time to see the podium for the race win there, and couldn't get close to the team after the race win. But it's just an awesome weekend to actually be a fan, and also kind of they've welcomed me into the team. I did get to spend some time there in the garage over the weekend, etc. So just super pumped, and of course Nick Percat following Cam Hill home in that race. But a little bit more about that later as we run through the racing. But the other big news this week, of course, is that Craig Lowndes has quit Triple8. He will, of course, be racing with them in that super cheap wildcard at the endurance races this year. But after that, his time with the team will be done. He will be continuing with General Motors. Looks like he will be doing a wildcard thing next year, very similar to this year, but of course with a General Motors team. Most likely Premier as the homologation team, but that is also up in the air as well, where that Craig Lowndes wildcard does end up. It could end up with kind of any of the GM teams at the moment. Also, probably actually bigger news, like the impact will be further reaching than the Craig Lowndes is the big headline news, because even though he's been out of main driving for a very long time, he is still probably the most popular driver. But this one, Jeremy Moore is leaving Triple8 to take up a position with GM, where he will do some GT3 stuff with them, and will be part of the homologation team for the Camaro. If you don't know, Jeremy started off with Leica Motorsport. He was with Briggs when Triple8 took them over, and continued on with the team. He has been a long-term employee there. He did go off and do Porsche WEC stuff for a few years, and then came back. Very important person within that whole team there. Yeah, he will be sorely missed from there, but a bigger role, some overseas opportunities and that with GM. So definitely good for him, and probably good for the category as a whole, because you haven't you then GM's still got quite a lot of knowledge there for their homologation, while Triple8 still has a lot of depth in talent with their team for doing the Ford work as well. So overall, I think that's good, because I suppose the fear was that you would end up very knowledge base centric on the Ford side of things. Anyway, we had some new liveries for the weekend. Rise forward in that with Middies is not taking up the role for the whole year. We had a Shaw livery. They make microphones, as far as I know. That's all they do. I don't use their equipment. I was, after seeing that car, I was very tempted to, maybe I should change my microphones over. Absolute standout in the photos. In person, I don't think it hit quite as well. The colour, was a little awkward in person, I'll just say that. It wasn't quite as bright as what it looked in the photos. Anyway, Cooper Murray, YTG, Young Timers Garage. I always think that has something to do with Renee Gracie because of the number plates on her car. Those who know will know. Anyway, that looked amazing. Absolutely loved the look of that car. In person, it looked even better. The black with the gold just, really looked really, really classy. I suppose the two big talking points over the weekend on track, the whole blow-up thing that's happening with the Ryan Wood, Jack LeBrock incident. So it looks like, from what I understand, those who don't know the story, I'm only catching the end of this. I didn't actually see the original post that Scott Pye put up. But what looks like has happened is all cars have Judicial footage cameras in them that run full time, that has some overlays of data in that, like Craigbeard and that can use to decide who gets penalties and things like that. And Ryan Wood was reviewing that footage. I assume he's taken some video of it off his phone, and he's shared it with Shane Van Gisbergen, and then Shane's shared it with Scott Pye, who's then posted it up on the interwebs. Now, there's some things, especially this, you're not supposed to share the judicial footage unless you have permission off Supercars, which has probably got a little bit lost in translation as it's been handed down, that it wasn't supposed to be shared. Those drivers would know that, but maybe they didn't know that this wasn't supposed to be shared. This weekend especially, there is special rules because it is a Formula One weekend and it's very tightly held with the rights and all that of the TV. I know when the Supercars used to be in their actual pit lane, you weren't allowed to even, take photos of the pit lane and then kind of going out. You had to take photos like looking back into the pitch. You couldn't take photos going out towards the track. I know I took a couple of photos in there the other year and was asked, if I'm going to post them at all, can you please take them, from the trackside looking in rather than from the pits looking out. And any time that the F1 cars are out on track, they had to shut the garage doors and all sorts of rules that were going on there. It is very tightly held, so that's part of the problem with sharing footage like that on the Grand Prix weekend because of... So anyway, what I understand has happened then, because of all those rules about you're not allowed to share the judicial footage unless you have permission, and then also with it being tightly held this weekend, Bruce Stewart from Walkinshaw and Andretti has asked Scott Pye to take that post down because they could get in trouble for sharing it, or, Ryan Wood could get in trouble for sharing it. Anyway, then Scott Pye's gone on a bit of a tirade by the looks and saying that, Ryan Wood was going to get fined for sharing this. I don't think that was ever the case. It was just, hey, can you please take it down just in case kind of thing. I'm sure we'll see Pete Edison jump on this and, it'll all blow up. What is it? Typhoon in Teacup or something. Anyway, the other big talking point over the weekend is race 4 did not take place because of the weather. We got wet weather tyres, just let them go. Okay, they've got to be on the ship on Tuesday to go over to Taupo. We don't want to see trashed cars. Teams have to rebuild them and that. But we also do want to see racing. And part of me as well, it did clear up by the time they shut it all down, essentially. If you just had them running around behind the safety car and they go, hey, we're good to go now, we can go, and even get in a few laps, at least do something for the crowd to see. I was lucky enough not to have a ticket for Saturday in the weather, in the extreme heat, and then Sunday in the extreme wet. So I wasn't there for it, but I do know people who, went full race day and, did not get to see much until the Formula Ones came out. They were bitterly disappointed that, cars didn't get to go racing. It was probably good for some guys, not good for some others. What could have Richie Stanaway done in that race? And then, Anyway, we'll have this argument forever when it's wet, and safety rules over the actual want to see people go out and race. Anyway, I had some predictions for the weekend. How did I go, you ask? Well, I said that Triple8, especially Waters, would continue on from SMP and have a dominating weekend. Well, that one was a fail. Race pace was there, but no qualifying pace. So not very good. I said Triple8 would be, right in there in the mix. Of course, how can you go wrong having that prediction? I said MSR would bounce back after their dismal Sydney. Well, they had pace in Sydney, but they didn't execute, or, there was issues during the races. Man, did they have pace over the weekend? Did they execute? Big tick on that one for me. I predicted DJR would really struggle this weekend. Well, they did a lot better than what I was expecting, but they weren't in the hunt for the win. Is that really struggling or not? Brady's overall was pretty good. Got that one wrong. And I said that Evans and Stanaway would improve over their normal kind of weekend. I expected them to have kind of standout weekends. Stanaway averaged 7th position in qualifying. Extremely good, really. Kind of went backwards in the races. He was 16th average. And then Evans average qualifying 22nd and 19th in the races. So, that was probably a bad call. I'm giving myself half for that because Stanaway did pretty well over the weekend. Evans was pretty much where he normally is. Now, for my normal run through the field, I'm going to try and make this one a bit quicker with, a bit of an overall thing, and maybe if there was a big incident for the guys over the weekend, cover off that. There is a lot of qualifying, a lot of racing over this weekend, even with one race being taken away. But kicking it off, MSR was last after Sydney, but the Blanchards are back in their usual position of last. Courtney took the mantle of destroying the car over the weekend and, trashed it in FP2. That meant that he didn't get to qualify for the first two races, and apparently they were a couple of minutes from making it out for the start of the first race. He did move forward in the other two races that he did get to start, it was just a struggle all weekend for them. The big question, though, was whether Aaron Cameron would be an improvement over Aaron Love. Short answer, yes. Long answer, we'll see how he goes at a more typical kind of supercars track like Taupo coming up. For his first solo weekend, though, extremely good, and he did it all with a broken toe. Next up, we have Erebus. Cooper Murray, mighty impressive in qualifying. On average, his position was 6th on the grid over the weekend. As expected, though, for the rookie, he got boxed in the races, got himself into a few incidents over the weekend. His average finishing spot was 18th for the weekend. But the speed is definitely there. Once again, some of the racecraft probably needs a little bit of work. LeBrock, similar position, good qualifying, racing. He was spun out in race 1 and then he got wooded in race 2. Both of those races, he was in a pretty good position, like well inside the top 10. Another tough weekend for these guys, which sees them second last in the team's championship. Premier Racing, as I said, Richie's qualifying over the weekend, absolute standout, but did find himself falling backwards in the races. Golding, race 1, he hit that tyre tyre barrier around the back, destroyed the front off the car. Although it looks spectacular, not great for aerodynamics. And then he got KO'd by Moster in race 2. Not too much to report from these guys. Speaking of not much to report, next up we've got the BJR B team. They were there over the weekend. Macca must have raced pretty cleanly over the weekend because his average finishing position was 13th. Bang up job there. Next up, BJR A team. Short car really stood out, as I said, but yeah, they were just there all weekend. Jaime did start from 4th and in race 2 and finished 5th. But yeah, it was just very anonymous, and of course that result was overshadowed by the 1-2 from MSR in that race. Team 18, Deep Pasquale once again had a very solid weekend. Reynolds didn't again. Anton 7th in the championship, which you would have expected him to be there this point last year with DJR, and he wasn't. And yeah, I was not expecting this from him at Team 18, and really well done. Next up, we have Grove Racing. Payne, he was the 5th best qualifier all weekend. Kai was in 15th, which not too bad for a rookie. It is quite a difficult qualifying sessions over the whole weekend at Albert Park, as we saw from a few of the other more experienced guys that really struggled. His average finishing position was 15th as well, so not too bad. Payne dropped to 10th when it came to average finishing position, though. Not what we're expecting of Matt Payne at this point in his career. Matt Stone Racing, the weekend of weekends for them. Well, the best so far is the best yet to come still. They left Sydney last in the team's championship, and now they find themselves 5th. What a massive jump up over the weekend. Both guys are in the top 10 of the championship now. Cam Hill, first podium on Friday, absolutely outstanding. They're qualifying over the weekends 2nd and 4th, and then their average finishings were 3rd and 5th, respectively. Friday race, I jokingly said to Cam Hill on Thursday afternoon, now all you have to do tomorrow is outbrake Feeney into turn 1, and he did that. How Percat kind of jumping in behind him, and but boxing on, blocking, and all of that. Well, they really worked together well to keep the Triple8 guys behind them, and most of the race it looked fairly under control. Sure, that race was cut a bit short, which was a bit of a relief, but it's absolutely impressive, and 1-2 for the team, mighty impressive. They were the only guys to really take the fight to Triple8 this weekend, and then also Percat's podium on Saturday, hanging on there with power steering failing. Just a really great weekend for these guys. And could they be the top GM team in this whole post-Triple8 era for General Motors? Dick Johnson Racing. So although it didn't seem like a brilliant weekend overall for these guys, Brody's average finishing position was 4th. That's pretty impressive. Sees him 5th in the points. I didn't expect him to be that high up already in the year. Saying that though, he's never looked in the hunt. Triple8 and MSR generally look to be on another level to them, which that's where he needs to be, but he is only beginning his career with this team, and he just needs to be in the top 10 come towards the end of the year, and I can see him getting into that last weekend in Adelaide. Davison languishing a bit. He's now 13th in the championship. I do expect him to improve as we move on, and as he gets more settled with this new DJR. Granted, he's the incumbent guy in the team, so to say he needs to get settled in the setup seems a bit wrong, but I think they've had some wholesale changes and really changed the setup philosophy on those cars. So I expect him to get better as the year rolls on, and I fully expect him to be in that finals 10 at the end of the year. So I'm not placing too much emphasis on the results right now. Walkinshaw and Andretti United. So both of these guys were penalised for taking people out of races. Chaz's was pretty clear cut. He just dive bombed and gave Golding a fair whack. Woody's a little bit more questionable from the footage I saw. Was it more because of what happened, the outcome, rather than the action? Anyway, on a good note though, Woody's drive on Thursday, super impressive. That saw him, I think it was finishing 5th for the race after starting back a bit. Really strong drive of his coming through the field. That's what we want from him. Was he a little bit disappointed seeing Hill take the first new winner of the year when he was probably expecting to be probably the guy to do that. Mostert still 4th in the points, but he's a long way behind Hill already. The final system will really help Chaz if WAU keeps having weekends like this where they're just up and down, and they're at the moment, they're nearly 150 points off that first position, which is already starting to, under a normal year, you'd already be starting to go, this is going to be a big hill to climb. Tickford Racing. Where did the qualifying pace go? Waters, amazing drive back to 6th on Thursday, which was actually his average finishing position over the whole weekend. But if he knew how to qualify there, how much better could it have been? Would he have fought with Triple8 and MSR at the front? Could he have been a spoiler right up there if he'd actually qualified up at the front? Like Woody, Thomas Randall was probably expecting to be the guy to take the first new winner of the year, and would have to be disappointed watching Hill be the one to do it. Once again, Waters a step ahead of Randall. He needs to step up his game this year with all the stuff happening with GM homologation teams and people going shopping and things like that. If, say, Waters does get poached by someone else, is Randall the guy to be leading that team? He was kind of lucky with the underbonnet fire happening on Sunday in the rain when the race didn't happen. He did. Probably a little bit of a weekend to forget for the Tickford team overall. Triple8 in their usual position, leading the team's championship, so they'll be back in the first garage come Taupo. Feeney's qualifying over the weekend, 4 pole positions, amazing. There is no issue there with his qualifying pace, but only converted it into 1 win, while Brown's qualifying over the weekend was, let's call it haphazard, and he still got a win and finished higher up, taking out the Larry Perkins trophy for the weekend. Now, granted, the 4th race didn't happen where, Will was starting right down the back and he had that the penalty for blocking Mostert on his qualifying run for that race. So that kind of saved him a little bit, where that would have been a good opportunity for Feeney to get back some points, I suppose, depending what happened in the race, because you never know. Standout could have come through and run him off the track or something like that. Who knows what would have happened? A very Triple8 kind of weekend with Feeney qualifying up front. Brown ended up taking more points out of the 2 of them. That's why he won the championship last year, because he can just convert in the races. Would they be concerned about MSR and their pace over the weekend? There was times where Triple8 were definitely not the fastest cars out there, but then again at SMP they definitely would, like Waters was on another planet, but then Waters has dropped down and MSR was nowhere in Sydney. So Triple8 are back in the lead of the championship and kind of where they're supposed to be. So that's my review of Albert Park and the racing over the weekend. Once again, a massive shout out to Motorfocus for helping support all of this. Check them out on the web, www.motorfocus.com.au. Grab your model cars and pre-orders there. Down in the comments, let me know what you thought of the racing over the weekend. I actually thought the racing was really good, what we did get to see. Very disappointed about no race on Sunday, but also on as well, like just super excited about Cam Hill taking his first win and Matt Stone Racing getting that historic 1-2 for the team. But even if you took that away, I think the racing was really good. There was so much happening, especially in the race on Thursday. Like, I remember at one point we were sat at the last corner, and I'm trying to remember who was involved, but someone had given someone a little bit of a nudge going through the last turn, and they were going down the straight and doing a bit of side drafting of that, which was actually a three-way battle. And then it was when Kai Allen actually got knocked around. So you're looking down the straight like that, while then you hear the tyre screech and you're like, oh, there's something. Like, it was just so much action going. Luckily we had the big screen right in front of us, because there was just so much going on. It was so hard to follow, but yeah, really exciting. So I did enjoy it, and looking forward to Taupo more than ever now. Anyway, until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.